Hi to society, welcome back to the Antisocial Planet, and today we are checking out Mushi-shi episode 20, A Sea of Writings, which feels a little bit like they're calling me out about my desktop, but I'm interested to see what this might entail. Maybe like calligraphy and stuff. I'm just thinking like Japanese culture, what writings might mean in terms of like mushi, spirituality, and that kind of a thing. I don't know. In 3, 2, 1, go. There really is something so relaxing at this point, getting to hear this opener. Like, I think it like, I have a Pavlovian response now to hearing that, like, opening little guitar. It does make me curious what we're gonna get story-wise. Look, the last episode made me so happy with life that I'm just like, can we stay there? But also, as we get closer to the end of the season, I don't know if we're gonna get into more stuff with, like, Ginko? And we had a whole episode that was, like, not even focused on him with, like, the artist, so I don't know. I'm here for it either way. I love a good standalone character-driven story anyway, so I don't really care if there's like some grand end of season arc moment or if it's just like the end of the season is that Ginko is a mushi-shi, and that's the name of the show. Oh wow. Okay, so writing. It does feel a bit like my own collection of papers. Look, I keep a lot of stuff because what if I need it? Uh-oh. Are we crying? Sweat? Still not great. But maybe better than crying? I don't know. Are we working too much? Are we frantically writing? What a cold opener. Like, not a single line said before we get the, like, title card. And yet so much said because of, like, the writing, like, almost consuming. I like that. Oh. He's just, like, smiling, like, hi. Oh, do we know this person as well? It's almost like the like cocoons that we had before, right? Where it's like people who are kind of connected, like Mushi or like spiritual stuff. They kind of see things, so maybe the rating is almost like related to something, like almost like scrying. I don't know what the equivalent would be for Japan specifically. Are we locked up? Is the person locked up? Because that's be weird. Well, this makes me think of the like in between like tunnel things that we had before, right? Where the little girl was like lost for a while, the twin. Or is it just like collection of research about like spiritual stuff? I was gonna say, she's like, you better not light any flames around here. I understand that it's like to keep away Mushi like sticking around him. Okay, so scribe. All right. So we've strange circumstances around her birth. Flashback? Oh. So that's how they know she's a scribe? The birthmark? Interesting to have like the dark birthmark and then like the ink, right? Yeah, does it affect her ability to walk then? Is it almost like, oh, she can't move it. Okay. So it's not just like a birthmark then. Okay. So related to Mushi makes sense. Interesting to have like the right side. Again, that like two-sidedness, right? We have that with Ginko, we have that with like a bunch of people in the way that they're kind of shown. Even the twins that I talked about before, like two sides of the same coin almost, right? Lots of duality, Mushi. Well, terrible catastrophe is usually no good, right? Oh, well, we don't want to erase all of their life. That's usually not a way to go. Interesting that we have like a hand as well. Like it's not just the foot. Oh, entire body. Okay. Uh, so it's not every child, it's just like some of them carry this like mushy. How does that like skip some generations though? No pressure though. Interesting though to be like reading and writing as a way of getting rid of the mushy. Okay, so we have a way of proof that it works to some extent. Seems very isolating though. Like not only to have this like mark as being different and it impedes her like ability to like walk around and stuff, but then also to like be kind of stuck in like the writing and reading and then be isolated in this like country house. Okay. So she was like the writings that Ginko is writing. Is it through the process of writing, like the ink? Mm. Sucks for someone so young to like not only deal with all of those things, but then also like having to go through pain is like a way of surviving, right? So that kind of explains the like beads of sweat we saw at the beginning, right? Like if there's pain to writing. So that's how we're getting all these documents, right? Of like mushi-shi, like research basically. Hmm. Interesting. The mixture of like the physical pain and then the like emotional empathy, right? Yeah. Like the main like mushishi we know is like Ginko, right? And he sees Mushi as like a natural force as opposed to like an enemy or like antagonistic. I don't know. Never say never. Especially if you're collecting a bunch of research, then maybe you'll be able to find a better way if you can see the patterns between lots of different mushishi, right? Hmm? The man, the myth, the legend. Like he's just like, wow, interesting. I know all about this. I think he's like, okay, I got stories that don't involve killing. I like the little smile. It is interesting though to see like Ginko as one of the anomalies, right? Like we've met like a few Mushishi, but we haven't spent like a lot of time with them as opposed to like Ginko. Is that why we don't like Ginko very much, it seems? Is because he's like, I don't kill every Mushi I come in contact with. Is that an open flame near all that paper? Of course, I guess Ginko might also be a bit of an exception because like he has like more of a connection with Mushi, right? Because of the like pond incident. Tell him about the snake on top of the mountain. Aw. I think it's sweet that he's like seeing someone who also has some empathy for like Mushi being like a natural force, right? But like, I would like to see him right now. Thank you. Are we trying to figure out about her birth though? To maybe help? Oh, hello. The mushi are like eating away the words. Is that part of the curse? Is that part of how we make the mushi sleep? Wild. So the mushi are like in the ink, like I was saying. Oh, well, she can't really run, right? You said that very casually. Interesting if her like empathy, interesting if her like empathy might make her like instead of fighting the mushi to find a way to work in tandem. Heck of a time cleaning it up though. Seems like we've done this before. Beautifully done there. Like untangling it. Like even he's like wild decision. Oof. The like in a sea as if she's drowning in it. He probably also has other ideas though. Because Ginko can just like let people like he needs to like know the end of stories, even when he's like, I won't come back to check on this situation. And he always does because he needs to know what the end is. I mean, also it's good for the storytelling, but whoa. It's not the same as the methods we were doing before. He's not gonna like that it's painful for her though. Interesting wording too to be like again, like Mushi bring her pain, but she also like loves them. Almost like taking pride or joy in her work, right? When she was like, I won't make a mistake because this is what I do. Like it's a difficult thing of like both her life being irreversibly like changed and like threatened in some ways, right? Of it being like you might die if you don't manage this, but also has like this empathy and love for Mushi at the same time. Like they're such a important part of her life. It's a lot of writing to only have it be little by little. It's less though. We started with the person who was like completely covered, and now it's like a leg. I don't know, I'm trying to be optimistic here at the end. Yeah, your whole life is writing. If you don't have to anymore. Aw. It's kind of cute. I don't think he would mind having someone to travel around with. Aw. Cute. For him to easily just be like, sure. Way to like divert. I think it's like, you're asking a lot of me. I can't guarantee anything. I don't know what's gonna happen. Oh, that was really cute. As someone who loves writing, I also feel like I can simultaneously take this in lots of different ways. I think both as a record of mushi-shi, I think we've learned quite a bit of them in this because like I was saying, we've briefly intersected with some other like mushi-shi, usually ones that are like a little bit at the end of their career, sometimes a little bit suspicious on like the moral standing for some of them, but we don't meet a whole lot of them. They tend to be more like traveling on their own. I know that like Ginko does that for like more complicated reasons with his backstory, but it seems to mostly be kind of a loner job. And just because it's someone's job doesn't mean that they're doing it for the best, like moral, upstanding reasons. And I think that it's really interesting to get the contrast with Ginko, who does see like Mushi as like natural forces. It's one of the things that I really like about these stories is that Mushi are never like at fault in any of these stories. They're just like they're like animals, right? Like, we don't get mad at animals for surviving, right? We don't get mad at animals for following like their instincts because animals don't have like morality the way that like humans do, right? Like morality and like good and bad and justice and everything is like something that is like human created. So I've always liked that Mushi are more like these forces of nature. Like we're not mad at the Mushi who like started floods. That's like their nature. That's what they're supposed to be doing. Like they're supposed to be going towards large bodies of water, right? Like we're not upset at them bring like illnesses to humans who are like messing around with them, right? That's not the Mushi's fault. They ended up somewhere they shouldn't have been, right? So I always thought that was a really interesting take on talking about these kind of like supernatural kind of entities, spiritual entities, right? That there isn't something inherently antagonistic about Mushi. And it's really interesting to see that in comparison with that's how Ginko sees it, and that's how we've been told these stories, and that's how we like experience them, right? It's a little bit meta to have Ginko like telling these same stories to someone else like in world, right? Experiencing Ginko's stories the way that we do, but also seeing that in comparison to like other Mushi-shi who don't necessarily see Mushi that way. They see them as like these creatures to be like defeated and overcome and killed, as opposed to like Ginko, who's you just have to understand how they work and not be upset with them. Like, yes, help people, protect people, try to minimize the damage, but it's mostly just because Mushi ended up somewhere they shouldn't have been by accident, right? So you just need to like navigate those situations. And I think that's a really interesting take on him. And I think through the lens of someone who is writing these stories, collecting this information, and also, you know, dealing with an illness, like being born with any kind of illness or disability or like mobility issues, and the way that that kind of changes direction of someone's life and how they interact with the world. And I say that as someone who, I grew up with people with disabilities. I have some like chronic pain things. I think that it's so interesting to see a story that is taking, again, a real world experience and like adding a spiritual fantasy element to it. But it's an experience that like you can understand, right? And having that kind of isolate this person, almost like a ticking clock, like a terminal illness thing where you can feel like you were born already having something that is like accelerating the clock of when your life is going to end and what it means to have hope around that and to find outlets for that. I think writing as a way of collecting stories or sharing stories or almost like leaving an archive of who you were and the things that you were interested in and passionate about is also like an interesting take. I feel like there's so many things. Again, I get to the end of a Mushi-shi episode and I'm like, I have too many thoughts and I'm not sure how to distill them down without talking for like way too long. But I think it's such an interesting angle on this, right? Of kind of the isolation, but also being marked as different immediately and finding a lot of like empathy and compassion as a result of that. And finding someone who also understands that, like Ginko too has gone through so many different things. And because of like his eye, he does have like certain ways of going through the world that are in line again with kind of that spiritual fantasy take on dealing with like disability of some kind or kind of like sensory things being different. Really fascinating. I feel like, again, I could probably talk on and on about the different intricacies of this one, but I think it took a somber subject and it made it into a really like quiet, beautiful story of like empathy and connecting with people. And I like that there wasn't like a solution at the end of it. It was just like, here is also a thing that exists in the world. And I think around conversations of anything that has to do with like disability or terminal illness or whatever, I think that's a really important thing because a lot of the time we have those stories in a fantasy setting. And then we can figure out a way to defeat it and things will be better. And I appreciate that this story was just, and that's a thing that exists in the world. There's this girl that exists and this is her life. And Ginko being like, I hope that we get to travel. I would love to be able to travel and to visit her and tell her stories of the world and make her laugh, make her smile, right? That's just a thing that happens sometimes. I appreciate that this story wasn't about like, how do we fix it? How do we make it better? It's just about this person's experience with it. Really beautiful in some of the animation as well. But I hope you enjoyed watching that along with me. You can click this playlist to go to my previous reactions, or you can subscribe so you miss next time I post a Mushi-shi reaction. I will see you in the next video. Bye.